But we're going to be discussing something very important. It's a trend that I found in a lot of Nigerians, including myself, and it is something that is worrying and it's troubling my heart because it's a pattern. I saw it in the generation of my fathers, and I'm still seeing it reoccurring in the generation where we currently find ourselves. You know, guys, that there is a problem, and the problem is that there are weapons fashioned against you. And these weapons are sometimes very peculiar to the Nigerian person, the African young person. And you know, whether you are rich or broke or poor, sometimes these things mostly happen to the poor people. And I found that if we can get past this, then we can get some level of success in our lives. But if we cannot get past this, we are always going to be relegated to where we came from. And that's fact. So I'm just going to jump right in and say that our topic for today, 18th of April, is the weapon fashioned against you, not me, you. And the odds are already stacked against you. Like the odds are already against you. If you are a Nigerian, you are an African, and you are broke, the odds are already stacked against you. So you cannot afford to be playing the dumb game. You know, you cannot afford to be playing the I do not know game. Because the odds are already against you. And before I go on, I want to tell you that I'm not a pessimistic person. I am very, very realistic. I'm a realistic person, a hopeful person. I believe in hope. I believe that things can get better and all of those things. But I also believe in reality, what I can say. So if you are playing the dumb game like we don't know game, just know that the odds are already stacked against you. By being a Nigerian and African, and by being in the middle class or broke or poor, the odds are already against you. So you need to level up. You do not have any choice than to level up. Let me tell you guys the good news. Yesterday, I connected with someone from Italy, and I'm going to bring her to this mentorship session. She is part of a non-profit that help people with data privacy and all of those things. And she's interested in partnering with us to, you know, help some of you who are in the non-profit space, you know, people who are looking to volunteer and all of those things. So I'm going to bring her to this platform, and she's going to speak to you about data privacy, about, you know, how to, you know, be very, you know, innovative as an African, build a sphere for the African person. You know, we are taught that the white person is superior, and even with the phones that we use, you know, the phone is better suited for their skin, and you know, the AIs don't necessarily have African languages and all of those things. So she's going to be coming to talk to us and also connect us with the non-profit. So if you're a non-profit person in this place, by non-profit I mean non-governmental organizations, it's going to be an opportunity for you to connect with her. She's in Italy, and I know someone in the US too who is also very interested in being to contribute to this community for free. Nobody's going to be paying anything. And one of the promises I made you guys that I'm going to bring some of the best minds that I know in this platform, and they're going to connect with you for free. And it's going to also help you spread your network, because some of you just need connections and your life will change. You have the requisite skills, you have the doggedness, you can work numerous hours, but you just need the right place to work, and we're going to connect you with all of that. So I'm going to start. The first weapon fashioned against you is the scarcity, survival, and not the abundant mindset. You know, like I said, you are born into Nigeria. If you are less than 40, you probably have been experiencing the downturns of the Nigerian economy. Like things have been going down the slope. Things are crazily bad, and so you are born into a society that talks. Okay, guys, let's mute ourselves. Let's mute ourselves, please, guys. Okay, sorry. Let's make sure as we're coming in, we are muted so that we do not, interrupt the network and don't interrupt what we're doing. So this is so important that you cannot. Don't worry, Mr. Ibrahim, I see you. You cannot afford to do this and something else. That's how important this is. This is not something you connect and you're chatting with a friend by the side. It's not. If it's not worth your time, you can just relax, and I'm not gonna hold it against you. Like, this is something you should give 100% of your time. And one thing that I'm gonna teach you guys here is that anything that is not worth your 100%, don't do it. Life is too short to be part of something that you're not willing to give your all. You understand this, guys? I understand that we can get busy and sometimes we're trying to kill two stones with one bird, but sometimes you just need to focus. So I was talking about the scarcity and the survival mindset. You have been brought into the sphere of Nigerian space that teaches you the scarcity and the survival mindset and not the abundant mindset. And what this does to you is that it puts you in the category of the poor masses, even though you have money. And let me give you an example of what this did to me. When I started the online game, I started to make a few money when I was in the university. I became a millionaire quite early in the university and all that. I still had the poor and the scarcity mindset. I didn't know how to use what I had to go to the next level. The rich people are taught to use their money to go to the next level. But the poor person, because of the scarcity and the survival mindset, you're always minding money. When you need to invest, you do not know how to invest. You're always being robbed. You're always being victims of Ponzi schemes because you've been taught that either you make money, you can double money, and that's why gambling and betting is for the poor masses because they have the survival mindset. I'm going to stake the whole of my salary to make 100 million. That's the influence of the scarcity mindset, and you have to get out of that. Somebody will wear tattered clothes and say, okay, I'm going to keep this clothes for a while because it's not yet spoiled. You go into the house. Teaches you to put money above anything else. Money is so important. We glorify money, and that's why the poor man works for his entire life. I've seen people, even within my family, people work for the government for 35 years. After working for the government, they now retire and then they become security men and all of these things, and they work for the rest of their lives because they were born into a system that's done by the limitation of Nigeria. It's most times your fault. You cannot control bad government, of course. There are things that are beyond your control. But there are things that are within your control that you must begin to manage. And that is the self-education. Some of you don't read books. I was very fascinated the other day. I was seated in Kaduna one spot and I heard two Muslim guys, Hausa guys talking. And their conversation was so deep and very, very interesting that I had to go to them and introduce myself, and I got the contact of the other person. They were so smart. They were talking about business analysis, data, helping their employees, and I was so stunned that there are people like this who think like that. This is a product of personal education. I had to ask the other guy, where did you graduate from? He said he went to my school, ABU, but I knew that what he now knows is not just the product of going to school, it's a product of self-education. Since coming to Kaduna, I have not heard people speak so intelligently about business like they do. They were just gisting casually with both of them as friends, and I asked them how often they do this. Like, they do this very often. You just sit down and talk about business. Normalize having very impactful conversations with your pals, your friends. Talk about business, talk about investment, talk about growth. If you're religious like me, talk about religion, how you can advance yourself. And that's part of self-education because you are who you listen to. And so it's like you cannot over-exaggerate that. The people, the 5 or 6 people around you, you are going to be like them. So normalize this personal education personal education with talking with people about very important stuff. Upgrade the way you talk. It's very important. I'm going to talk about communication at the latter part, but prioritize personal education. Read books, get mentorship, be a part of a community. Do not live your life in isolation. Some of you, the only thing you do is church, mosques, friends. Just Those things are very important, but find a community where you are a part of, a community that shares the same values that you are, and for most importantly, make it an online community or a physical community that you meet very regularly and talk about things that we're talking about like this. Be a part of a community. And the next thing I'm going to talk about as a weapon is the poor internet culture. I have never seen a generation, I am part of this generation, that has access to almost everything they could ever imagine. In fact, someone said that there has never been a generation that it is easier to make money like our generation. Like, you could literally be nobody and you can wake up be somebody just by putting in some things in place. But our generation have found out that we have a very poor culture when it comes to the use of the internet. Most people just use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for entertainment, and rather than taking advantage of the good things that these things offer. Guys, I have made over 100 million online. Like, it's incredible. When I found out that I could do this, like I could make money online, and see, I'm not selling any online courses or anything for anybody. In fact, I don't do that because I don't have time, so don't come to me. But I'm just giving you facts that I've made over 100 million online. And when did I start? Just a few years ago. Like less than 3 years ago. That's when I actively started to pursue, the online thing. And I made 98% of those money. I made it from Facebook. It's crazy how the world has turned. Over 100 million, and I'm still going to make more online. Right now I work from home like 100%. I work from home, and you could get physical jobs, but yeah, I do work from home. And because we use the internet poorly, we are not partakers of the gifts and the fruits that comes from the internet. It is so easy to make money online, but yet this is the generation that has the highest poverty rate. Remember, Nigeria has a higher percentage of the youth, and Nigeria has one of the highest poverty rates in the world. So if we, the youth, are part of the higher percentage of the Nigerian populace, it means that most of the young people around are broke. I'm not saying I'm very rich. In fact, I'm not yet rich. I'm not yet where I want to be. But a lot of young people are broke, and they are asking them, they are wondering why. They are blaming government or something. I mean, the government, they're not doing the best, but you could actually take matters into your hands. This is a sign that you're not taking the internet seriously. Fine. One, you do not have access to Zoom. Some of you don't have phones that have Zoom, like you don't have Zoom. You hardly even jump on video meetings. This is a product of having bad internet, bad lights, bad everything. So you're always going to be joining from your audio. No Zoom, no Google Meet. Some of you don't have those apps in your phone. Some of you don't have good gadgets, and you don't even know how this is very important and this is fundamental to your growth. Some of you have very good phones that you just use to scroll through the Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and you just enjoy reels and comedy and all of those things while the people you're watching are making money. In fact, I can authoritatively say that you don't have the right, or you shouldn't be watching reels and all of those things when you're not making money online. Like, it's crazy. I mean, not everybody should make money online, but you'd rather not spend the rest of your days online just scrolling through things and comedies that don't add anything to your life. If you really want to use the online space, then yes, YouTube, follow the right people, and Facebook or Instagram is going to show you videos of the people that should really have influence in your life. Some of you watch crazy stuff that adds nothing to your life. We are in the scrolling generation. Some people like me before can be fixated on our phones for 3 hours. I remember while in school, I could stay all night just watching random videos and wasting my time. You would have to manage your time better. And that's going to take, so the lessons there is that get good phones. I don't want to hear any excuse that I'm poor, I'm broke. Find a good way, of course, of getting good phones. Have Zoom in your phone, a phone that can carry Zoom. Be part of a community where you constantly jump on Zoom videos. Like, find a way where you can have lights, like do something. I started my online thing, joining videos while I was in school in my hostel room. My hostel room was not the best. I bought red bulb so that made my face a little bit better. I will share one of those videos in the group after that. Remind me, so I would show you my setting. It was so It was ridiculous, but I started from there and I saw how I grew to this point. Now I don't have the perfect setup, but guys, I'm investing in it. I am growing. I have phones that join Zooms. I have better internet, better lights, all because I was intentional about taking advantage of the internet. The internet is a gold mine, guys. It's a gold mine, and you cannot afford not to take advantage of it. The next weapon fashioned against you is poor time management. Some of you here do not manage your time better. It's a problem in Africa. It's a problem in Nigeria. And when I found that that's a big problem, I got a calendar system. So if someone says, "Hey, let's go here," I go through my calendar and say, "Oh, I don't have an opening here by 5 p.m., so we cannot be by 5 p.m." Maybe because I have client calls and all that, so I have a calendar on my phone that I have activities that I would want to do the next day. Like, organize your life. Do not leave your life to chance. Make sure that every part of your life is planned. I mean, you will not get this 100%, but plan your life, guys. You cannot afford to be wasting time. I've seen people gist with my life because I'm going to respect the opinions of the people who love me, but that's not going to determine how I live my life. I'm going to listen to advice, I'm going to read, I'm going to pray, I'm going to get inspiration, and then I'm going to decide how I want to live my life. Some of you are taking jobs based on what other people are wanting you to take. I know a story of somebody who was making like 100K in business, and he got an offer for a government job that pays him around 100K. And he's looking for advice. And they're like, "This is not something you should look for advice for. Not a business that pays you 600K. And everybody's thinking, "Oh, he's going to retire and have pension," all those things. I mean, you are living your life based on what people think. And there's nothing as detrimental and as catastrophic as living based on the opinions of others. It's your life. When you die, people are going to move on. Apparently, you're going to die before some of them, and some of them are going to die before you. So learn to have a mind of your own. Some of you do not have minds of your own because the internet that directs it. One celebrity somewhere that does it. And it's so crazy how Nigerians think. Nigeria, sometimes it baffles me how we think. There's this celebrity that is our anchor. Anything he says is what we will do. Anything they say is what we will do. You do not have a mind of your own. You must begin to do that. You must begin to, make things happen for yourself. Have a thought process. Question what you've been told. When someone says you only need to be in a government job, question them. When someone says that, I was listening to some Igbo guys and they were saying that somebody is a billionaire because he sells toilets. The Igbo people and the Hausa people are people who probably most times don't give a damn. They always have a mind of their own. And that's why an Igbo man seems very dirty, sells car parts, and nobody knows that he's a millionaire or a billionaire. But the average person, the person thinking that, "Oh, me, I can't do this job just because of what people think, but I cannot be found selling food." As in Mama Food. I know one of my friends who sells food. She's like doing very well, has a car, bought a land, doing good things. But you that don't, because of what people think, why would I be doing this job? Why would I be doing food? I know someone who sells pumpkins or grain, and they are doing really well. That they sell it to Lagos. I know someone who sells farm produce, and they're doing very well. Some of you are not in business or are not in a job or are not doing something because of what people will think. Why should I be a full attendant? So you're still broke, you're still at home, you don't have a job based on what people think. I remember when I bought the land in Jos, because of what my parents or my sister think, she was thinking that was one of the wrong investments I'd ever made in my life. When I started to make money and I had to say buy land here now, get the advice of people, distill it, package it, some people say package, distill it, and then have a decision based on what you think, based on your values, based on what you plan for your life. I bought that land and it became a family land. Of course I want to buy land for my family, but that was not the intention in the first place. I was cajoled into it, my brain was muzzled into that. That shouldn't be your case. Guys, only do things that align with your values. Some of you are going to start having money very soon. And you want to experience what I'm saying. It's when you start having money that everybody becomes an advisor. Everybody starts advising you. Buy land there, buy this there, buy that there, guys.
you must have a mind of your own. Do not live your life based on what people think. Sometimes it's okay to go get dirty, get into the dirt, do some things that will then raise your, I was a sales boy at some point. I sold for a lady in Trophy Market in Jos. You know, we just wanted to survive at that point. And you can't afford to be broke and be ashamed. It doesn't go two ways. Can't afford to be a broke person and be ashamed. Like, it shouldn't be happening with you. If you are broke, learn to put your hands in the desk. Go and look for a job. If it's fuel attendant, that's going to be your right something. But do not live your life and say, what are people going to think about me if they see me selling e-books or selling things, guys? Do not live your life with what people think. Because if you die, people are going to move on. I moved on. I miss my dad. But I'm still eating. I'm still living my life. All of these things. I miss him very well. But if he was living his life based on what I think, he's gone. And my life is on. So guys, live your life based on your decision. The poor, the weapon passing against you is not knowing that the world has evolved. It looks like you are already behind. And this is what I thought. The concept of work has changed. People think that it's 9 to 5, we did flying jobs that you probably would not get. Instead of creating, the world is now a global stage. I'm in Nigeria and I have clients in the US, Canada, I'm not rich, very rich, I'm not rich yet, but I'm not going to be rich. But I've taken advantage to some certain extent the things around. And I have clients, have meetings with people in the US, and I have people who are like brothers and sisters, like family to me in the US and Canada, even in some African countries, and like they love me like a father would love a child. They love me like a brother would love a brother. They're like, hey, this is my brother and all those things. I have a family globally, and that's what you should do. The world has moved on. The concept of work, the concept of money, the concept of family, friends have changed. Why are you behind? I know some of my friends who are in the US because they applied scholarship. They took advantage of what's happening. They stopped playing the victim mentality. Oh, Nigeria is bad. Oh, the government is bad. All of these things are true. But what are you going to do with your life? The world is now a global stage. Found on it. It's a global stage. Take advantage. Like being friends. I have friends in Germany way before I even started making money online. They were like family. When my dad died, I remember somebody sent me $500, another person sent me $500, another person to just do it for the burial, and that's the money I used to fly from school down to Benue, and because I have family. I'm not saying the family is supposed to only give you money, but they are also going to help you in introduce you to their own culture and their own way of life, guys. The world is a global stage. The concept of business has changed. We don't necessarily have to be, work your whole life because you want to make money. Things are changing. There are people who have virtual jobs. I've had a virtual job, business per se, for the last 4 years. Never had to apply to any job. But I'm a graduate in Nigeria. Instead of complaining, I find a way of making it happen. I'm not saying life is not hard. Life is hard. Talk in Nigeria. But we cannot sleep on that. We have to find a way for ourselves. I see people trading. I know some of my friends that raised $1,000 to $10,000. I know someone that raised $2,000 to $40,000 while trading online. People keep moaning about how things are bad. Do not take advantage of the good things that life offers. The concept of work has changed. It doesn't have to be a 9 to 5. If it's a 9 to 5, good. If you want a 9 to 5, good, fine. It's not bad to do a 9 to 5, and it's not bad to have virtual jobs. I know some of my friends have virtual assistants, and they pay, 500K, 300K, 1 million, 2 million per month. People are doing well. And I'm going to be running up very soon. But another weapon passing against you is the poor people, poor health choices. The average man, the middle class, has a very poor health, choice. The health pattern and routine is so poor. Most of us don't exercise, we don't eat well, we don't mind what we eat. We drink any kind of water, we sleep in rooms that are stuffy, and we reduce our lifespan by a lot. The poor people, rich people also smoke and all that stuff, but poor people want is crazy. You would go and pack block from here and there, and then you smoke yourself out or drink alcohol or don't eat well. Some poor people do not know that if you fast, if you're a Muslim or Christian that fast, you need to, before fasting, there are things you need to eat. Even when you're breaking your fast, you eat things that that will balance your health. Some people do not know. You fast. I know people who have fasted till they die because of their poor health choices. Sleep well, exercise, eat well, mind the water you drink. Just our food is just full of starch, carbohydrates, and sometimes we miss out on that, and our health span is being lowered. Poor person make poor choices. That's why you cannot afford to be poor. It's time to start working it up. The last thing I'm going to be talking about is communication and how we dress. Communication is probably one of the hallmarks of wealth. People who communicate the best are people who are the richest. The other one that is above communication is who are innovative. Amongst the richest man is very innovative. The guys from the Saudi, they've got oil and all that. But communication is something you must intentionally work on. I don't care whether you're a 9 to 5er, you are a virtual assistant, or you're an online guy. If you cannot effectively communicate, you have a problem. We've got people like Adolf Hitler. We've got great guys who, if you listen to them communicate, you can put arm for them and go and fight. We have people that can so inspire you, spur you up, and just because you listen to them, you will take your life seriously. And that's the person you should become. Work on your communication. Life is going to hit you hard, but one skill that can elevate you the most is your ability to communicate. Very crucial. This is not about speaking funny or accent. It's about articulating your ideas and communicating it well. Communication involves your thought process, how you think. One way you can improve your communication is by what you read, what you listen, the people you listen to, what you eat, very important, and all of those things, what you watch, kind of movies. Sometimes I watch movies and I repeat the lines because it's so intriguing. I watch speeches by Obama, the former Prime Minister of UK. People who speak and you're like, whoa, if this, you must improve your communication. If you want to be people who will influence the generation, I don't know if you are saying that the past politicians are gradually eroding. Our current president is old. They're old. The last president is old. They're going to be gone someday. I don't wish them death, but the generation before us or our fathers are gradually going. People who are going to take over this next generation, people who can talk the best, people who can communicate the best. Why do you think people like Very Dark Man now have a lot of popularity than some of your pastors, some of your imams? They can effectively communicate what the people want to hear. And that's really with communication. I'm not saying be people who want to, bend the truth or anything, but you must be effective at your communication. Some of the richest people are speakers, communicators. My friend is an officer. You need to learn how to effectively communicate. One of the things that I said I listened to the two Muslim guys that I was listening to, they were excellent communicators. I was like, whoa, who are these guys? Effective communication is something you must learn. Your dressing. This is not something we should even talk about. How you look is so important. The world has changed, The shirt and the trouser is cool now. How you smell, how you look, your home, all of those things are the weapon fashioned against you. There are people who you cannot stand close to them. They have all it takes to be clean, but they are not. They do not know dressing sense. They do not know how to dress well and look nice, and steeze up. You cannot do these things are very basic, but it's still the things that hold a lot of people down. People do not take you seriously because of how you communicate and how you dress. Nobody takes you seriously. That has to change. The last thing on our reader today is very crucial. I made it last because I want to talk about it the most. It's what I call lack of mastery. It's a serious weapon. A large chunk of us here are broke people, including me. Like most of the money we have, other people will just sneeze and it will wipe all of us out. we do not have mastery in any area. It's what people call that anywhere balance. It's like there's no mastery. And what I'm going to urge you guys today is to find something and be very good at it. Like, build mastery in at least one area of your life. It's communication. If it's cooking, if it's anything, just build mastery. Writing books. Some of us have not even caught up with the world to write books. Like, you could write books about your life and sell it on Amazon. Amazon, to upload a book is totally free. You know, you get mastery in sales. That's one thing I'm getting towards learning more. You know, when I started to do this, I started to sell, and someone in the US, after 10 minutes of selling to them, would give me 1 million naira. 10 minutes, because I sold something to them. I'm like, whoa, why should I then scam people? While when I can just legitimately sell them things that they can buy because they want to buy it. And I jumped into, like, you know, sales, started to learn how to sell, started to communicate well, and I saw how people were exchanging money for value. Mastery is so important. If you really want to get ahead in life, it doesn't matter where you are. Find something and be a master at it. If it's in your job, just find a particular thing and be a master at it. I know some people who they type very fast, so everything in the office that regards to typing, they are the ones. In fact, my sister is in the police. Some of our friends who are in very big offices where they get double promotions, they get high, you know, money more than their salary. People who have skills and mastery in some areas. You know, I know a guy who types very fast, and so they put him in the commissioner's, you know, office. Like a guy who is very good with the internet and everything, they put him somewhere to build mastery. You know, some of you might be asking, but I don't even know what I'm good at. You know, but I can't even say what I'm good at or anything. You know, find a place and be so good at it. Just find something. Maybe follow passion. You find something. When the journey begins, you're going to stumble into something that you would love and you would love to build mastery in. But some of you think you don't have skills. Like someone like me, I grew up thinking I didn't have skills because I don't know how to bake. I don't know how to sew because my parents didn't put me that. I do not know mechanic. Nothing. That's nothing. I was like, whoa, oh, it's gonna be crazy. And so I went to become a sales boy and all of those things. But I knew that wasn't my path. No, hard work is not for me. I'm a soft person. I like to do mind things. I like to use my mind to innovate, you know, do things like a smart person, make money the smart way. And then I found sales that like, we died here. Because I cannot afford to work, you know, carry blogs, do sales boy run. I cannot afford to do that because I'm somewhat soft. So guys, I hope you learned something today. The whole essence of our class, what we do here, about mentorship, it's not to talk so much, but it's truly inspire you to begin to take your life more seriously. You know, it's truly inspire you to begin to make something out of your life. Life is short. You cannot afford to waste your time. You know, for some of you, you see how Nigeria is turning. Things are getting worse. I'm not a pessimistic person like I said in the first instance, but things are getting worse. And you need to carve a niche for yourself. You need to make the world where it is. The world has gone way ahead. Which money you want to make, people are making it in excess. If it's anything you want, if it's the things you want to talk, the world is already a global stage for you. It's yours to take advantage of it. But you must do it, you must pay your time. You must do the homework. By time, I mean you must do the behind the scenes work. You must read, you must learn how to speak well, dress well. You must do the work. You are already, the odds are already stacked against you. That's the truth. But being a Nigerian, you are already in a disadvantaged position. If other people in the US and stuff are giving 100%, you cannot afford not to give 200%. You have to work a little bit harder. You have to sleep late sometimes. You have to get the job done. Regardless. And about investment, you have to learn investment. Read for yourself. Talk. Quite recently, because of Trump, the stock market has been going up and down. If you know about stocks, this might probably be the best time to make a lot of money out of it. You know, if you make $40,000, like one of my friends made online, like $40,000 is crazy. It's not plenty money per se. For a young person, it can get you somewhere, get you maybe rent a better place and to set up your life. But life is not just about money. You must catch some of the mindset and some of the things, some of the weapons against you. You're already disadvantaged. Do not take life lightly. So guys, I probably did not cover every weapon person against you as a Nigerian, but this is just spoil you, stir your heart towards making the best out of your life. Some of you are going to be fathers very soon. If you think life is like, if you still think you're a baby, you're going to father somebody, you're going to be a mentor to somebody. Like, can't afford to waste your life. And I'm sure this was inspiring or motivating to somebody. And our group is open. If you have any questions, you can ask in the group. So important. I'm sure you have questions to ask. Go to the WhatsApp group, ask the question. Or tell us something you learned today, because this is a community. Remember I talked about community. We are here to build ourselves. And I'm going to be sending some opportunities your way, but for now, let's just learn, build community, and interact. We are here to network. I have two guys standing behind the camera now. Those guys, I met them in the community like this, and now we are pals, we are family. They're here, we're all together. So please put your questions, what you learned, just put something in the group. The group is going to be open now, then you can put something. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. We're going to be doing this again, and next time is going to be another topic. Before I start to bring the guests that I wanted to bring, all of our guests are incredible people. So they're going to help you, connect you, network, build families and friends that you want to build within and outside Nigeria. But things are about to change for you. Please take advantage of what we're doing here. Thank you so much, guys, and do have an incredible night. See you guys in the WhatsApp group where we'll ask questions and answer them. Have a good night, guys. Bye.